And no one introduces anyone in the media center. We all relaxed. We'll be happy if we start from the minute of silence. I have recorded a special fragment in the memory of all those perished, if you may. Thank you for listening. I would like to thank you for listening to me. My topic is not an easy one. I have been working on that for a long time. And everything that is done by Putin's propaganda, for me, is an awful social phenomenon. Ukrainians have created this unique phenomenon, social phenomenon that started from Maidan and continues now, that is positive force of people, positive power. But it is just, I cannot understand what unites Russia, why the whole nation is in the state that they are. Are there any people in Russia who can waken up just like that was done by Ukraine? That was my question. All over the world, I was asked about what's your attitude to Putin's actions in the sphere of propaganda. Because everyone understands that the person, musician, who all the time works with many people, with their moods, knows the moods, feels the moods of people, writes music for such people, cannot but feel the lie and all the methods of propaganda. I cannot say that I am a great specialist like some KGB team that works in the Kremlin. I cannot say that I understand the black PR technologies as well, just like Putin understands them, but I can tell you, I can give you one comparison. Ukrainians definitely had an outburst of the consciousness, I would say. And people themselves, they, in the internet, via internet, started to convince people in the east of Ukraine because of what we have war. That is because people had absolutely different information climate, information picture. I'm just stating the facts that you know, but I need to say that people themselves, Ukrainians themselves, they said in social networks, these are not trolls, trolleys, these are not accounts which are paid for. These are people of different age who have the web pages for 5-7 years. If you think these are just young people, that's not. These are people who are elderly people as well. They are convincing people in the East, those who are whose brains are washed by Putin's propaganda. All information sabotage did not go to the rest of the territory of Ukraine. Kharkiv, Odessa stood against that, and the other territory did not. And that's why we have the conflict. My position is why people are dying in the east of Ukraine, peaceful people, because they were under Putin's propaganda. That is something definite for me. What's happening with Russia? what I call wakening up of Ukrainians. That is, we saw the truth. We now are dealing with the truth. We know how to see it, how to listen to it, how to hear it, and we analyze it. The truth. We do need different sources of information. We are not just perceiving one source of information without any alternative. We are checking it ourselves. It's not enough for us to see mass media or watch mass media. We are looking for information ourselves. We are even going to the place of events, and we are making the materials themselves. The Ukrainians themselves are creating information content, and they are disseminating it. That's people's media. People created that unique media. What's happening to Russia now? We were traveling with my husband, and we realized that Russia is on a needle, the needle of propaganda, like the needle with drugs. While they are consuming these drugs, these information drugs, these propaganda drugs, and while they consume it, they live in some parallel reality that was created for them by Putin. What's the sin and what's the biggest crime of Putin? Because he addresses the darkest corners of human soul. And that is what infuriates all the religious world, all the religious organizations of the world. And I believe that Russia is lying so much that itself starts believing lies. And that's happening to the whole nation over there. I can compare that only with fascist Germany. That is how it was happening in fascist Germany. Today in the east of Ukraine, they are shooting people, Russians, Russian military terrorists. They are trying to just confirm their own lies. But Sashko was correct, saying that all the secrets sooner or later become obvious. That's the Bible. And the main question is that it shouldn't be delayed, the reality shouldn't be delayed, because Putin can do a lot of evil, but in our times, in the age of technologies, there's always where the crimes originate. They are everywhere, but it will be impossible to hide any crime. Whatever Russia is lying about, whatever messages Putin gives, or his mass media, or his trolls in mass media, these lies will be revealed, and the people themselves will start looking for witnesses and will start collecting all the evidence. I am the witness of this process, which is quite successfully going on. Why I moved my attention from refugees to propaganda? Because of that tragedy, the tragedy of Boeing, of the aircraft, and all the focus of mass media was focused on the deaths of people of that Malaysian flight. But at that moment, probably no one was talking, even though there were photographs in the internet, no one was talking about those people who were killed in Lugansk. That's unfair. Even after the crash of the aircraft, no one pays attention to the fact that Ukrainians continue to perish there, and that is why I now am trying to unite, we are trying to unite all possible resources. What we are doing for the fourth day, all Ukrainian communities all over the world, anyone who has some initiative, some groups all over the world, all these people get united into people media. They get united to disseminate the truth. We call it the wave of truth. just facts, only facts, which will be self-evident. We will not be convincing whether that's right or wrong. Everyone will make own conclusion. Our strategy will be just to give facts. We'll be collecting facts and disseminating facts. And we have many slides to give you an example of how that was happening. You will see these slides, and maybe you know that better than I do. It wasn't difficult to do that in the internet. We did it. We were doing it at night. First of all, Russians, and they were boasting that they downed Ukrainian aircraft. And from Strelkov, there was a message on his web page, we have won, don't fly in our sky. You know this text about the bird that has fallen. You know about all these about all this communication. The special service gave this communication, and we were disseminating that. 1 million messages went all over the world, and people immediately understood. Not from Russian news, thank God. Then it became known that the aircraft was passenger. Here they were saying, is there any weapon? Are there any weapons there? No. They have just some children's, whatever, civil things. They were very cynical, the terrorists. It's not a pleasure to listen to these communications. Then there's an information sort of from Poroshenko, but written by a person who doesn't really know Ukrainian. Then in this attempt to hide his guilt, Girkin says that the terrorists do not have equipment that can down the aircraft at more than 4,000 meters height. You see all these slides. Then all these things, they are self-evident because there's a lot of contradiction in them. One of the accusations addressed against Ukrainian servicemen was that it was sort of an attempt to the life of the President Putin. Just look at how Putin was planning to go. Next slide. How Putin was planning to go from Warsaw to Moscow. You see, that was very strange route. So they are lying, and that is astonishing. Life News showed the same host first informs about another shot aircraft of Ukrainian army that was downed, and then that Ukrainian Air Forces downed the passenger aircraft. First, Russian resources say that the militants took this this missile book that they received this book, and that was informed by Tartas, and after book system was used to down Boeing, Tartas informs that not a single unit of these militants in Ukraine have never had Book M. Russia 1 informed that international experts were not suspicious about Boeing, but the representatives of the mission informed it differently. I was talking all the time to OSCE. The representative told me that the terrorists, their behavior is just shameful. They were used as the life force, the representatives of OSCE. Same terrorists, first they say that they have a book, but now this book is not working. And all these propagandist websites were boasting that the book was repaired. So they were providing different pieces of information. They did not get clear order from the Kremlin, and they created the chaos, and they cannot put it all together. Now they have a new tactics. They stopped making any official statements. They got rid of their version that was sued that downed the aircraft, and they're creating probably something new. You know about this miraculous dispatcher in Borispol, some Spanish, Carlos, and this person, Spanish, he wrote in the Twitter in Spanish, and this account in Twitter is a fake account, and officially the fact that there was such a person there was denied, especially that this person is a foreigner. But Russia today, they managed to interview him, and we found it all. Then, they were using all these dead souls. Girkin joined Sherlock Holmes in British film. It's the same like a story about crucified boy. It's the story that on the aircraft there were bodies of dead people. That is just a shame, and it's so awful for the relatives of those who perished. It's impossible to understand the mentality of those people. That's the result of activities of Putin. That's the product of Putin. Russian political scientists used this photo near the embassy of the Netherlands, saying that the Muscovites there, and it was like the photo from Moscow. And I went to the embassy of the Netherlands. That was the atmosphere of Maidan. There were many, many people who were bringing flowers, candles, and that lasted for 3 days. We are preparing the version on how Ukrainians all over the world had that action of expressing their condolences to the families of perished, and at the same time that was the action of protest against Putin, against Russia. People were praying all over Ukraine. In all the churches there were services for those people who perished. The people united, combined the tragedy of Boeing with all people who perished in the east of Ukraine, in Kiev, near the embassy of the Netherlands, and near St. Michael's Cathedral. There were such things happening in Amsterdam, near the embassy of Ukraine. People were with the Ukrainian flags, and in London, the activists of Euromaidan were next to the Russian embassy with the action of protest. In London, that meeting was very numerous. In Paris, in the St. Vladimir's Cathedral, and in Brussels, also in Vienna, the activists of Euromaidan were in the center of the city with the slogans and flash mobs of the protest. In Brazil, Ukrainian community also had a church service to commemorate the perished Ukrainians and the passengers of the flight. In Canada, in Winnipeg and in Ottawa, for first day, they had 300 candles, and next day they had protest in Chicago, Washington, Philadelphia, San Francisco. In Ukraine, they were praying. And in New York, that was in the Central Square, which there were so many tourists, and there were people. They were with black bags and put the flag of the countries from which the people perished, and that was very touching. And in the end, I would like to say, myself as a musician, I have done a lot of some special brief videos, and I just want to show one of them. It's in 3 languages. What for? Can you put it from the beginning? For what people are dying? For what are people dying? For the truth, for what they have seen and for what they have told, For what innocent people are dying? For mistakes of others, for praying to their own God, for thinking about their dreams, for wanting to be free and happy. For what are innocent people dying? For the greed of someone. For what are innocent people dying? For preserving their soul, for what they wanted to give away, for dreaming. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer. If not, then all the best to you. Микрофон.
If you could answer in English, please. I'm Al Pessin from Voice of America. All countries do the kind of thing that you're talking about. Tell the story in a way that it's good for them. Spin the story, spin the facts. How is what you say Putin does, what Russia does, how is that worse or different from what others do?
Я допоможу перекласти. Журналіст каже,
I understood. And other countries are also using information and showing the way it's good.
In my opinion, first of all, people who use the propaganda of Putin, who is liar, who's lie all the time. These people, I think, have mentality from Soviet Union. It's very, very terrible when people have just one information source and believe for that forever. So this is really problem. Another audience just work for money. It's big army to work with social community, send this propaganda. It's the one tool of this big machine. Putin use. It's a big campaign, big scheme. Putin use messages. Mass media use the same messages. They have instruction from some, KGB producer, and then these guys, this army, send the same messages around the world. It's big army who use all languages and work very quickly, sometimes before something happen.
But how is But you were saying in Russian that the impact of what they do is very strong and very bad. Can you explain that in English, please?
Що
ви кажете, що наслідки, вони є дуже погані і дуже сильні, наслідки цієї пропаганди.
Я не знаю, чи я англійською це так добре скажу.
I don't know whether I will be able to say it in English. I will better speak in Ukrainian because I will not be able to explain it in English.
Somebody work with your mind. It's dark technology. You lost your independent, your opportunity to have another opinion. So that's the problem. You have no choice. You have no choice. That's the problem. Пояснила.
Okay, I explained. Could you please tell why are you addressing me very formally? What will be the continuation of this campaign? Who will join this campaign? Will there be a state support of that campaign? How can we join? What's the difference? What is so different about social media? You should not create it, you should not organize it, you should not finance it. Ukrainians are motivated all over the world to tell the truth. For us, that's motivation. If in the South Africa we saw that people are condemning Ukraine because in Ukrainian sky, Ukrainian servicemen shot down the aircraft, we are trying to explain to them what in reality happened. And we see these things immediately. In the U.S., there's a website, InfoWars, and there's a journalist who writes about Putin's propaganda, and he accused Ukrainian army, that Ukrainian army did it. As soon as we see something unfair, as soon as we see such facts, we try to immediately overcome that. That's our internal motivation. There's nothing more powerful than that. Maidan was there because people were motivated by unfairness. And Ukrainians are united. Look at how Ukrainians are united all over the world. Is there any producer? Do we have some offices where all these things are developed? No. Between ourselves, we agree that we will do that at such hour, and all over the world, immediately, simultaneously, this happens. And in the streets, you have many Ukrainians who are with slogans, and they wanted to do it. Every person went there because they wanted. No one motivated them, no one paid them money. That's a unique phenomenon. Frankly speaking, Russia cannot demonstrate it. They have nothing similar to that. They attack, but why? They cannot explain. They're aggressive. Why? We cannot understand. They do not have any constructive, any positive idea today. They don't have it. That's their problem. They're building construction, and it's built on illusions of Putin. And this construction will fall. Sooner or later, we will see Maidan at the Red Square. I would like to ask now, there's an attack against Maidan. The civil servants want to remove Maidan physically. Okay, there are some saboteurs in Maidan. We need to ask them to leave Maidan. I'm against disseminating Maidan. That's the symbol of the memory about heroism of people, and I will not be able to move a single tire. If someone would start disassembling the stage, I would just stop them. But there are people there. We need to ask them to move to some other place. And we need to do that all together. There might be sabotage there, which Putin may use immediately. We do not know what will happen to the tents. We do not know what explosive they can put there. We need to be very careful. There should be a special control. The authorities themselves will not be able to do that. It was not the authorities who created Maidan. That should be the initiative of people. We are to be active here. We had many ideas on how to organize Maidan, on how to turn it into the unique museum of memory. Frankly speaking, many people want to have their working places there, to organize these viches, these meetings. That's the Institute of Democracy. Another question. Were you preparing in the nearest future? Say it in Russian. From the stage, did you ask to support that from the stage? When I feel that my heart wants to do that, and there is a reason to do that. I am at Maidan all the time. Everyone knows. We organize many. I had Maidan in New York. We were singing Putin, you know what, la la la, wherever, in Romania, Putin, la la la, and so on. There were many meetings here and many meetings. My latest concerts, they turn into meetings of Maidan format. Some people would call, Ruslana, may we order the concert from you, but not your regular program, but like it was at Maidan. Everyone wants the spirit of freedom. Thank you, Ruslana, for your very sincere words. UN Habitat Office. Do you believe that Maidan, the main mission of Maidan, is to restore constitutional system, talking about the rights of Ukrainian people for national wealth, which is in the Declaration on Sovereignty and the Constitution of Ukraine? Maidan is not for turning it into the museum, not for having a show and concert on the stage. People are there because of the truth. When will the main mission of Maidan be supported? From which center? When the military actions are going on, but the main mission of Maidan is to restore the constitutional system. It's not restored, and the president of Ukraine does not propose to start the process of registering national wealth. You talk to me as if I am responsible for Maidan. Well, just take the microphone, go to Maidan and speak at Sunday WeChat, Sunday gathering. You will be given this opportunity. Come up with this initiative. That's the Institute of Democracy. Everyone will hear you. There will be many people around you. They will come to you with proposals. You do not know, but that has always been at Maidan, what you are talking about. I can give you millions of proposals that they were giving to me. Thank you. I would like us to finish. People got tired when it's too long. One thing I would like to request you, journalists, please pay attention that we are all switched to the tragedy of Boeing. That's very important for us because the tragedy shows Putin's face strongly. And we now have to show the world clearly that people are dying in the east of Ukraine every day. We have signals now about refugees, the first signals, which are bad signals, in which conditions they are. Again, I would like to emphasize, please be my allies. Don't forget to write, even today, briefly, that Ruslana requests everyone to join this process of registering people who were moved here. They are afraid to get registered. Registration is the only way to get legalized, to get the rights of citizens for these refugees. Otherwise, we will not be able to protect them. I like you, please get involved into this work. If there are volunteers, organizations, if you see that there are some settlements, and we do not know why these people live there, somewhere in the field, in the attic, please provide this information to the Ministry of Social Policy. Give this information to regional headquarters of the Ministry of Emergency, to volunteers, because these people are not registered. That is the danger for them, because we cannot take care of them, because we do not know where they are. On the other hand, these are people who can be used in sabotage any moment, in any subversive activity. It would be great if you write about that. All the information is all over the resources on the Ministry of Emergency Situation, on Groisman's website, the Ministry of Social Policy, in my Facebook, you can find this information. We have this center the volunteers, source groups, please, please be very serious with that. That's another problem. Thank you. And the last question. Thank you. All the best to you. Glory to Ukraine.